Hello, and welcome to this TIER webinar featuring our module on behavior support and services for students within a multi-tiered system of support. My name is David Barrett, and I am part of the TIER team here at the University of Texas at Austin. Today, I will be joined by Robbie Rowan from Region 10, who collaborated with us in developing one of the pathways within this module. As you may know, TIER is one of 9 technical assistance networks funded by the Texas Education Agency. Originally referred to as Intervention Best Practices, we have named our network Tiered Interventions Using Evidence-Based Research, or TIER for short. Through the creation of professional learning content and resources, TIER aims to support LEAs and schools with their MTSS framework. We do this through a focus on multi-tiered systems of support because that is where intervention best practices occur. The TIER team has collaborated with experts from Texas's regional service centers and school districts, as well as universities across the country and national technical assistance centers to develop professional learning content and resources. These are organized within the 10 different modules seen here. Each module contains a set of materials, presentations, handouts, videos that can be used to deliver professional learning to your stakeholders. These modules and their accompanying resources will all be available on our website once that is launched. Each module is designed to comprehensively meet the needs of your stakeholders. In their entirety, each module could take between 3 to 20 hours to deliver, depending on the content. However, these are designed for you to choose your own adventure and deliver the particular pathways in the manner you see best. For example, the behavior module that we are showcasing today is comprised of 8 different presentations. In its entirety, this module could take up to 16 hours to deliver. How and when you decide to deliver this content will depend on the needs of your stakeholders. The behavior module focuses on tiered systems of support and intervention for student behavior and is comprised of 6 pathways. These pathways are components of the module that can be presented in concert together or separately as standalone trainings. The first pathway provides an overview of positive behavioral interventions and supports, PBIS, within an MTSS framework, and it focuses on evidence-based practices and strategies for implementation at the universal, targeted, and intensive levels, also known as Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3. The second pathway extends this learning with strategies and examples for partnering with families when implementing PBIS. The next 3 pathways provide real-world examples of successful implementation at each tier. Lastly, the Interconnected Systems Framework pathway, ISF for short, is a 3-part series which provides an introduction and overview of ISF, followed by detailed step-by-step models for integrating systems to more efficiently and effectively support students' behavioral and mental health needs at the district community level and at the school level. For today, as an example of the content included in this module, Robbie Rowan, a consultant with Region 10, will spotlight the pathway Universal Examples of PBIS Implementation and provide us with a glimpse of the entire presentation and how it can be used with stakeholders. Robbie Rowan began his career as an elementary teacher in Bastrop, Texas, after graduating from Texas Tech University. During his teaching career, he obtained his master's degree in educational leadership from Texas State University. In his leadership positions with Bastrop ISD and Frisco ISD, Robbie saw firsthand the importance of connecting with students as a means to improving their academic performance, and he gained valuable experience using PBIS as a systemic approach to improve student outcomes. When the opportunity to work for Region 10 Education Service Center as a PBIS consultant became available, Robbie seized the opportunity. Robbie has held this position for 13 years and has worked with over 200 schools in the Dallas area on successful implementation of Tier 1 PBIS. I'm proud to say that I was at one of those schools and worked closely with Robbie as our team rolled out Tier 1 PBIS. So I can say from a personal and professional note that Robbie is very good at what he does and that PBIS was very important and effective with helping us increase student outcomes. So it is my pleasure to hand this over to Robbie and let him talk about this pathway.
The goal of the Universal or Tier 1 approach to positive behavioral interventions and supports, or PBIS, is to get teachers on the same page with the school's design, delivery, monitoring, and feedback. These 4 processes are paramount and are the job of the PBIS team to lead. Design can be best defined as structure or predictability in an environment. In a school, teachers and students should have a clear understanding of what to do and what not to do in given environments. After the design is established, delivery of expectations throughout the year based on data helps to ensure that all stakeholders clearly understand the expectations. Effective schools communicate and emphasize expectations all year long. Without monitoring or supervision, design and delivery mean nothing. Schools must inspect what they expect, because anything that's not monitored becomes optional over time. Effective supervision means planning and systemically checking that the staff upholds what is shown to be effective. Finally, the culture and the climate of a school can be improved with increased positive feedback. Schools should strive to have a 5-to-1 ratio of positive to negative interactions with students. This interaction could include simple greetings or a systemic reward-based incentive system. Processes and procedures are better for students and teachers when executed school-wide. For that reason, the PBIS framework should be led by a team of educators who represent the whole school in important behavioral decisions. The team should be no larger than 10 people and should include the following. Number 1, a representative from each department or grade level. Number 2, a representative from special education services. Number 3, a paraprofessional. Number 4, a counselor. And number 5, an administrator. Effective team processes help to ensure fidelity of implementation of the PBIS framework. One of the barriers to effective implementation of PBIS is staff investment, or buy-in. For that reason, data to show need in the beginning and trends as the process unfolds help to illustrate the why of a systemic approach to behavior. To see that teaching and learning in the behavior spectrum is as important as the academic spectrum builds momentum to implement PBIS with fidelity. Teams must develop clearly defined roles to work smarter, not harder. Teams should also meet on a consistent basis, at least monthly, to study trends and to work with the faculty to implement an agreed upon response to those trends. Sustainability of the PBIS framework on a campus can be directly linked to the effectiveness of the team's communication with the staff about behavior trends, thus creating momentum to address those trends in a systemic way. District support also is a must. Many districts have the resources and personnel to look at the big picture and provide training where needed. Trends seen at the district level allow schools in similar feeder patterns to get the same training and coaching from district personnel. To get where we are going, we must know first where we have been. Thus, the first job of a PBIS team is to dig deep in behavioral data at the campus level. Data can come in the form of staff and student surveys, observations, feedback from the staff, and office discipline referrals, or ODRs. These data can be used to build the why for a systemic framework. People are generally more willing to invest in a process if given the purpose of doing so. The great thing about these data is that there can be no arguments against them. Surveys are a direct result of teacher and student perceptions, and ODRs are generated at the teacher level. Initially, feedback from the staff also plays an integral role in developing the why. If enough people say the same thing about an issue in the school, a PBIS team must listen and respond with action. It is important for PBIS teams to create ambassador groups or liaisons between the PBIS team and the faculty, or work within given systems already created to communicate with and receive information from the faculty. Doing so streamlines idea development and allows for quicker action in critical areas. One of our highlighted schools is a junior high in Richardson Independent School District. According to the TEA 2017-2018 school report card, this school is 73% economically disadvantaged and has a mobility rate of 27%. 26% of the students are English learners, and the school has a special education population of 11%. The school is very diverse, with 38% African American students, 36% Hispanic, 20% white, 3% Asian, and 4% other races. This school was trained in the PBIS framework in the 2015-2016 school year. The baseline data are shown in the slide in blue, and the orange shows the data after implementing PBIS for 1 year. As you can see in the blue baseline year, behavioral referrals build up to October and then drop to December. In the spring semester, the average referral rate is higher, but not as extreme as the fall. When looking at these data, a PBIS team should recognize the spikes and assume 3 things. Number 1, the students and staff both need refreshers on common area and classroom expectations. The team should formally teach those expectations in months like October, November, January, February, and April. This data-based approach allows the staff to see the reason to stop and reteach the desired expectations. Number 2, where discipline referrals are the highest, one can assume that teacher morale is the lowest. Therefore, recognition of the staff for all the great things they do should be increased in those months. And number 3, the incentive rate for students should be increased in the spike months as well. 1 or 2 members of the team should be in charge of this recognition. Their only job on the team is to manage the system of reinforcement, and this will be discussed later. One of the activities in your tiered module about universal examples will be to turn and talk with your table mates about sources for behavioral data for your campus or district. Most districts conduct their own climate and culture surveys for staff members and students. And these surveys can be a great source of information for the PBIS team when developing ideas for the framework. Additionally, behavioral specific surveys are available for schools to use at a cost. Generally speaking, surveys at the school level for PBIS should pose questions to staff members and students about safety and civility in the main areas of the building, as well as the classrooms. Teachers should be surveyed about administrator support, clear processes for referrals, common language, and whether the staff is being more corrective or proactive when communicating about behavior with students. This slide also lists free resources and tools. There's a TEA site which includes a school climate improvement resource package, as well as tools for school climate practice, positive school discipline, and bullying prevention. There is one as well from the U.S. Department of Education, which provides a free guide for parents and educators for school climate resources. And finally, the School Climate Survey site includes reports to guide initiatives designed to measure and strengthen a positive school climate. Surveys can be a valuable tool in assessing needs, monitoring progress, informing decisions, and making data-based decisions. This slide shows 2 example survey questions and their resulting data. Faculty investment is sustained throughout effective and consistent communication. Pinkelman and others published a study in 2015 charting the enablers and barriers to sustainability of PBIS on a campus. Listed on this slide are the top enablers of sustainability. Looking at this list, 6 of the 7 items are a direct result of the PBIS team and its work for and with the faculty. Staff more readily buy in when they are consistently shown that what they are doing is making an impact on the climate and culture of a campus. For example, comparing ODRs from before and after PBIS implementation should give an indication of impact, including both the improvements being made and the continued problematic behaviors. Communicating these data trends with faculty members, followed by a focused response, increases the buy-in. Consistent implementation is directly related to the PBIS team. Each team member is an ambassador for the staff. It is the team's responsibility to communicate to the staff both when systemic changes need to be made and when successes need to be celebrated. Creating ambassador groups is a structured way to just do that. As stated earlier, anything not monitored will become optional over time. Consistent team meetings ensure communication with the faculty. Seeing success early and throughout the process is important to the sustainability of PBIS. Data and fidelity of implementation play an important role in that success. A team must monitor what the staff is saying and doing as a result of PBIS and monitor the data. The team must then communicate clearly with the staff about areas of celebration and improvement through ambassador teams. In testimonials that will be available in this tier module, you'll see how schools use ambassador teams to provide information for and receive information from the faculty at large about all things PBIS related, including reminders of new school-wide processes, as well as getting feedback about those processes. Ambassadors act somewhat like a cheerleader for that process. Efficiency is important, so communication via ambassador teams is one process that will be expanded upon in the PBIS Universal Examples module. The team should establish specific roles for each member. This allows each member to become an expert at the role, leading to seamless team meetings. Team members can come prepared to each meeting with their piece of the puzzle. The roles on this slide were taken from Randy Sprick's book, Foundations, a proactive and positive behavioral support system. This example is not an exhaustive list, as it is likely that during PBIS implementation, new roles will be created. As you take some time to look at these roles, ask yourself how you can create specific roles for the members of your PBIS team. This will be an activity presented in this tier module. In addition to effective team processes, to ensure fidelity of PBIS, we must establish effective school processes as well. This section of the module will concentrate on these processes and how the culture and the climate that teachers create affect their students. In the design section, we will explore common language through guidelines for success and expectations. We will also look at how Richardson ISD has an I Know What to Do day district-wide. In the delivery section, we will look at how teachers can use common area classroom and social emotional lessons to connect students with one another. In the monitoring section, we will explore effective supervision. And finally, in the feedback section, we will look at how schools have made a difference in letting all students know that they are valued. Guidelines for success spell out what to do to be successful at a school. When teachers understand the desired skills, attitudes, and beliefs for themselves and for the students, they create a positive school culture and climate. Guidelines for success are created by looking at data trends, listening to teachers and students, and understanding what traits, if taught and monitored, would lead to a culture of positivity. These guidelines provide teachers with a common language when explicitly telling students what they did right or what they did wrong. Guidelines for success and behavior should be used like academic anchor charts, such as the periodic table for science or conversion charts for math. Because these traits are anchors for behavior, they should be used when explicitly praising and correcting students. As we will see in the slides that follow, these guidelines go hand in hand with the common area and classroom expectations. Using data, this junior high developed a set of guidelines titled Guidelines for Success of Preparedness, Respect, Integrity, Determination, and Excellence. These traits are posted around the school and are used by teachers as the anchor for praise and correction. When we focus on desired behavior rather than on the behaviors we don't want, we create a more positive teaching opportunity. Once guidelines for success have been determined, the next step is to create the corresponding expectations. This helps explicitly teach what is expected and leads to a more positive environment. In the example on the slide, this junior high used pride as its guidelines for success. To create expectations, the team and the staff brainstormed what specific behaviors under each guideline they wanted students to exhibit. With that in hand, the staff now has a script for what to tell students when they exhibit great behavior. As an example, consider the expectation in integrity to help others in need. If a staff member sees a student pick up books that another student has dropped, that staff member might say, "Hey, thanks for helping Victoria when she dropped her books. That shows integrity." This common language unites staff and allows students to see that great behavior will get noticed more than negative behavior. Equally as important, but happening less often, corrections are an integral part of creating a positive climate. Letting misbehavior occur without correction is basically telling the student that the behavior is acceptable. For example, if a student were running in the hall, a staff member would need to tell the student to walk instead. A school could have the best design for supports and teach exactly what is expected, but without monitoring, design, and teaching mean nothing. It is imperative that schools systemically create expectations for the staff regarding the importance of monitoring, especially during transition in the building. This slide and the next slide provide examples of how schools create predictability for students based on monitoring during the school day. Here we see the hallway of a middle school in North Texas. This school places horseshoes on the ceiling to signify where an adult is supposed to stand during passing periods in the school day. Posted below the horseshoe is a list showing which staff member will be at that post at which period. This predictability allows students to know that they are being monitored and tells students where to go in case of an emergency. For the staff, these visuals allow for a clear understanding of the building's hotspots and the importance of having staff members in those locations. PBIS as a framework cannot be complete without staff acknowledging great behavior at a much higher rate than negative behavior. Similarly, teachers need such recognition too. Most importantly, continuously monitor and evaluate the recognition system. It is a living process that needs periodic adjustments for sustainability. As we conclude this pathway, it is important to note that all behavioral-related programs have at their core a design to connect with kids, but most programs include no evaluation. What differentiates PBIS is a constant evaluation of every system. For example, in design, does the team and the staff implement with fidelity what has been determined as a non-negotiable? In delivery, does the PBIS team inform the staff of behavior trends and have a plan to address them? And with students, does the staff teach the desired expectations consistently and connect with students from a social emotional perspective? In monitoring, does the PBIS team study behavior data and teacher fidelity of implementation of the non-negotiables? And for students, does the staff monitor their behavior with fidelity? In feedback, does the PBIS team celebrate staff members' effective implementation? For students, does the staff recognize great behavior more than negative behavior and treat conflict as an opportunity to learn? To help you with universal PBIS implementation in your LEA or school, we will provide the PBIS resources handout as well to help with PBIS implementation.
All right. Thank you, Robbie, for highlighting that pathway I think this is an excellent and very important presentation. We're also very grateful for all the educators in Richardson ISD who agreed to be part of the video clip examples. I think those real world examples add a really extra helpful dimension to this pathway. It's nice to see things in action. So we hope you, audience who are watching this, we appreciate your time and hope that you'll access this module and this presentation once that is available on our website. We hope to have that website up and running very soon. We also hope you check out our other webinars that showcase all 10 modules. And as I mentioned, once the website goes live, you'll have access to all our modules, pathways, and resources as those are finalized and released. We'll be having a webinar focused specifically on our website very soon, and we'll walk you through how to navigate the website to find what you need for you and your stakeholders. This summer, we'll also have a webinar that looks ahead to the next academic year and focuses on the work of TIER. Thank you all again for everything you do for students and for collaborating with us here at TIER.